se va. Sáquenme la botella que funda para gastarle. Esta noche tú y yo nos vivimos la película. Luce cámara, la acción, después en mi recámara. En el duelo no se sabe quién ganará. So baile y bebe, ese booty retrocede. Que me encanta la manera en que tú lo mueves.
Solo pégate un poquito, mami, que yo quiero enseñarte lo que yo tengo para ti. Lo que tengo para ti. Sé que te va a encantar como meto yo.
What's going on, Cowboy Nation? Welcome back to Primetime Studios. It has been a minute since we have been on this broadcast, but here we are. Yeah, we're back in effect. Let's just say that. Game time, of course, below on this particular layout, but here we are, the coaches. I wanted to put something out there. I think we need to do a broadcast in general, but I know one thing that's not general, and that's the mailman right down below me. That's Game Time. What's going on, Game Time? Long time no see, sir, on this channel.
Primetime, Phil. Welcome. What's going on, brother? How are you? How is everybody? Rhonda Lovely is in the house. What's going on, Phil? How are you?
I am enjoying myself. I have been crazy busy with work. I have been watching football in the meantime. I was able to jump on your broadcast a couple of times, so that was nice to get back into the rhythm, talking about sports. May not be our teams, but some things to get excited about. And if you're in the NFC East, I think you got excited about your teams as you were covering them in the playoffs. But anyways, Game Time, how are you doing in general, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing okay. We're kind of waiting for the Super Bowl to be played out. It's kind of one of those, congrats to the Eagles. But for Cowboys fans, it's kind of like,
ready for everything to be over with?
We're just kind of waiting for the game to be over, to be honest. No offense. We're waiting for the game to be over. And we're ready to move on to the new league year. And I know that sounds weird but 30 other teams are doing the same thing.
Yep.
So, just looking forward to turning the page on this year for us. Again, congrats to the teams that are in the Super Bowl. But for us, it's about the draft, right? It's about finishing our coaching staff, and we'll break it down, I'm sure. But we definitely need to finish hiring on the offensive side of the football. Twiz, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Twiz, man? Thank you.
Session.
Thank you very much. I don't know if it's going to go that far. I think he's one of those things where you can't tank too far, especially with this kind of coaching staff. Because, you might have your contract in place, but nothing is guaranteed, especially with how these fans are acting. I mean, even guys like Stephen Jones comes out this past week, which I'll make a little clip later, addressing what we're feeling, what we've been talking about really for the past couple of years in the off seasons and the lack thereof, really, right? And at some point there had to be this thing where your arrogance pushed out of the way and really it's you have to look at the man in the mirror, and I think that's what it's become. I mean, you need to be active in all phases of the sport and not just half-assing it.
Jack and Angie Meeker. Well, it has been a long time. Welcome, Jack and Angie. I see Jimbo and CZ. We got some super chats.
What's going on, CG? What's going on? Thank you.
He starts to come and then he pulls out. Wow. Thank you. You're far too kind. Pow, right in the kitchen.
I haven't used that one in a while. I appreciate that.
I can't heart it. Oh, that's you.
What's that?
No, I'm talking to myself. No, I always wait until we go live now, so I'm actually posting this. So.
Oh, nice.
For a second.
I actually had somebody texting me right as soon as the broadcast started. I was all like, yeah, that's usually right when it works and stuff. But
wasn't me.
One thing, I mean, when the season ended, I know my frustrations was, I guess the not knowing what the plan is. I mean, there's nothing that says that they have to indulge their plan to Cowboy fans or anything like that. But you see some of those, some of the candidates that came in. I mean, some of them we can agree with. Other ones we knew what the rules was going with, and other ones we just. Even for example, if guys like Ben Johnson, Eric Lenz, one of them had been through here and at least interviewed for the job, at least he would have been like, they went through the motions. But to me, it was like a Derrick Henry situation all over again, where you didn't even bring him into the building. You never even made the call. And it just, that's I think. I don't think a lot of Cowboy fans were totally pissed about the Schottenheimer thing. It was just more of the way that they went about it. If they had gone through all their interviews and then all of a sudden came out, no matter what they were saying, we just can't get away from what Bryan is talking about, the culture that he wants to bring and everything like that. We've seen it firsthand, come to that decision, but that wasn't the case. I mean, they kind of just they knew who their guy was, and it felt like that anyways. And when you heard about the between Mike McCarthy and Jerry, it sounded like if that had came to the right years, I mean, they both would have agreed, right? So we would have never even gotten to Schottenheimer and everything. And it's kind of disappointing a little bit because, it feels like you're right back in the same situation from you were last year, but you were late last year. Oh, we're late to the party. We can't get anybody defensive coordinator, so we kind of go with Zimmer, which I think he did a great job in that 1 year without the personnel, and of course with the injury bug happening. But when you look at the new offensive coordinator, of course, I'm a big fan of that. We were talking about it on your channel, of course, Clayton Adams coming over from Arizona. I like a lot of his schemes, how he pulls tackles, how he pulls guards. He doesn't afraid to use different people from the line to end his blocking scheme. And really, people pointed it out, it was the first thing that I thought of. So I'm sorry if I go on a little bit of a ramble here, but when it comes to Arizona, I'm a big fan of their run game. I have been. We talk about it every time when we went to go play them. Oh, they're going to run all over us. They're going to kick their ass. They're going to just block us. And it's the schemes, and it's really, honestly, when you look back, there's no all-pro. There wasn't like Pro Bowlers going to the games that are happening right now. This was happening with almost no names, and a guy that became a name by the way that he was running and getting through and making those yardage. So I was a very big fan of this, just because, especially since you knew Schottenheimer was going to call the offensive plays, so you needed that offensive coordinator, and the only way you were going to get him was to promote him. So what do you think about that move before we jump into every individual?
Well, I mean, yeah, the Cardinals, I'm looking at it, they had a top 5 rushing offense in 2024. They had Will Hernandez, I believe.
I hate Will Hernandez. I hate Will Hernandez, but he's great. But he's great.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, he's great though.
I'm just saying. They had Will Hernandez. They had Paris Johnson Jr. He was their left tackle. He's decent, but really, there's not a lot of, oh my God, look at that guy. Oh my God, look at that. You know what I mean? It's just just a very well coached unit over there, and that's what it was, and that's what I think what we need. I think we need a different. I wasn't a big fan of Mike Solari. We talked about it, and I felt bad because I just didn't care for it. What's up, Randy? How are you, brother? Thanks for coming over, man. I'm just not a big fan of Mike Solari. I think this is a young man's game, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think.
Well, you have to be people that are enthusiastic about getting into the building, about playing football, about scheming, about I've been through this 10, 15 times, It's like, it is any other day.
And before Arizona, he was with the Colts.
Yes.
So he had a killer running game. Now he comes in as the offensive coordinator, and he was highly sought after. Kellen Moore was supposedly going to bring him to New Orleans. He chose to come to Dallas. And I believe, this is just me, I believe that it was Brian Schottenheimer. You can say whatever you want. None of us know what kind of head coach he's going to make. We do not know. But what we do know is he's a motivator, and he's a stickler on the details. Now we're starting to hear rumblings, which is convenient, that him and McCarthy, he was frustrated because McCarthy he didn't like change. McCarthy wanted to do things the hard way, and we saw it, Phil, coming into this year.
Yep. Well, we said
where we got out of the gate slow last year, remember? And then it had a come to Jesus meeting with the whole staff, and then things turned around, and then we started back this year with the same stagnant, and what I'm hearing seems to be good. Again, we'll see.
Well, yeah. Any little thing. I mean, we all know that even implementing something, the motion. We talked about the motion, getting the motion involved. That was something that he jumped about. Just even if you never do anything, saying stuff is different than the let's be real, man. The 50-50 sitting on the fence type of answers that we were getting from Garrett and McCarthy sometimes, it's we know what kind of culture he's trying to bring. It's a relationship type of culture. It's a one that everybody, you saw how many players were there at the press conference. I mean, that's not. I'm sorry, but I didn't remember McCarthy having that kind of a situation, and obviously McCarthy wasn't in the building prior, but.
Yeah, I just think I don't know about you. Just a little quick thing about Brian Schottenheimer Jr. Back in the day, he wanted to know about the media and how it worked. So he was near ESPN at the time. He went and visited the ESPN campus and really sunk his teeth into how it works behind the scenes. He wanted to get to know the people that were, I guess, when he was with the Jets. And, that just goes to show you the attention to detail. He wants to know, okay, who am I watching? Okay, well, why do they do what they do? I've been told he's the type of guy who, once you tell him your name once, he'll never forget it. So that's a very attention to detail. He took Mark Sanchez to 2 AFC Championship games.
Dude, when I think about the list of people that he had, it's kind of impressive, actually. Some of the stuff, but I'm not. Again, we're not saying that this is the eat all beat all thing. We're not saying Arizona's offensive coordinator. We're not saying Eberflus later on when we're talking about it.
We're not.
We're
telling you it's a welcome change.
Yeah, it is. It's a welcome change, and I know a lot of Cowboy fans could feel it.
I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for Phil.
Oh no, man. I was happy that if we were going to go with a young, unproven guy, that it was out of all the young, unproven guys, really, right? Really, 50s. You know how it is. You know how I'm feeling. Those kind of things. It's but when you go to all unproven guys, this is a guy that's been in the league for how many years? Again, I pointed out on yours, it's the Nate Dogg of the rap industry, always featured in everybody else's album, but never ever quite his own. And so if you're ever going to go with anybody, the years of experience that he's been there to build into this moment, hey, man, that says a lot. And I do like it. I do like the new offensive coordinator move. I do like, I wanted we all talk about Robert Salas wanting him, but we knew San Francisco, after they were going to pay him a huge amount of money, that was going to happen. So when we look at the defensive coordinator position, all of a sudden Matt Eberflus's name came out, and I was a little shocked there because I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so then, of course, immediately I started thinking about those Indianapolis Colts teams, the Chicago Bears teams with the defense. And when I remember also, and I think we talked about it, was his relationship with Marinelli. I hit and miss with that one. Just because some of the stubbornness that we saw in Marinelli and how he was drafting and doing that stuff. But again, I haven't had that with Eberflus. I've seen a lot of his drafting be really, really good, especially with talent that is not supposed to be stars. Let's be real, man. A lot of the Indianapolis Colts, you see Chicago's. That Chicago defense, the safeties, the corners, those were doing some crazy moves with the front defense. So that secondary coach coming over with him, great move. So what did you think about the Eberflus hire, especially with the candidates that were out there?
That was the one guy that made the most sense. You were a little concerned that they weren't going to be able to get him back based on how he left the first time. It wasn't the best of, he worked under, what's his name? He was under Rob Ryan. So you didn't know, but he went on to be really good with the Colts. And then, listen, he's not a head coach, at least not the first time around. There's nothing wrong with that. But Matt Eberflus, the one thing you hear from the people around the league, like different teams, is from what they're saying, is he's hard to game plan against. His teams are tough because, he has a 4-man front, but from there he does multiple things. So he disguises well. Again, you need the horses, right? Ultimately, you need to go out and have the bodies. So this is all well and good, but if you don't go out and get another tackle to help in the middle, if you don't get,
it doesn't matter what the hire is.
It's not coming back. We need another edge rusher.
I think he could
these
come
are
back.
Things what you need. You need to get a linebacker.
I think he could come back. I think the right price is sitting
that's
there.
It, Chris.
With his age, with the injuries and stuff, I think we can still get him at a really good price. So I can see D-Law coming back. Some of these guys, Osa has been the big one. I'm kind of weary on Osa. I'm a big Osa fan. I've always been. In this channel, I don't usually talk a whole bad things about Osa. Just I don't think he's elite. You know, he can't. We can't be sticking franchise tags on him. We can't be paying him, you know, the $20 million that he's probably going to he's going to pull. And I don't want to pay this guy this type of money. We can't pull that. I want to. If you're going to spend that type of money on that guy, it needs to be the man. And I think a lot of people. Yes, Osa was incredible. But again, it's just spending it on that one position when he has not been the solution since he's been here. Let's be real, man. He hasn't been the solution. He has been more of a pass rushing defensive tackle. So again, I'm very weary on it. I'm not on board with spending a lot of money on Osa. But it would be heartbreaking to see him walk away, isn't it?
Yeah. He's to me, he's a rotational piece. He's good. He's better than average. He's definitely a very good borderline All-Pro. I mean, a Pro Bowler. I don't know. Did he make the? I don't think he made the Pro Bowl this year. He did make it once, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. But you know, I would like to get him back, but we don't know what Eberflus thinks of him.
Yep.
And just because we like him, or does it? And I'm with Phil. I don't want to pay that either. Sorry, Osa. Good luck to you, bro. If that's the case, you know, I'd rather pay an older Jordan Lewis because that's going to be a sneaky need to start the year as well. Is that backfield, defensive backfield? But I hear you, man. Primetime. They said Sayad Milton from Eagles going to get 17. Oh yeah,
so
Milton,
there's going to be some guys that are going to
17 to 18 million.
There are going to be some guys on there that's going to definitely be getting some paydays.
I think
on
Osa is just as good as him. I really do. I like Osa, but it all depends. I mean, it all depends what you got to pay him. And
so
how
yeah,
much,
I mean,
he's going to want to get. He's probably going to end up in Washington, so get ready.
Yeah, I would agree. I would almost agree on that one. But he's a record. San Francisco wanted
but if you're telling me
wants
that we
him
can get
to.
Jonathan Allen.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
but if
I would be okay with that. I'd be okay with that switch.
I don't know that they're going to release him because, I mean,
I've heard that.
I want an upgrade.
I heard some of his.
He has
I
no
thought
more
Allen
guaranteed
was
money on his deal.
I thought Allen was leaving.
I think he has no more guaranteed money, so he might be done. I'm not positive about that.
Yeah,
so,
I just
whatever that means. I did
if you're
hear
switching
no
that
more
and going for a guy
guarantees.
like that, I know injury stuff has happened, but I mean, man, that's again that is more of a dominating type of force. That if you're going to spend that money, I am okay with that type of guy.
You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you're going to spend 20 on Osa, then go out and sign and trade his ass for somebody else if you can. I don't know if they do that in the NFL, but it's just I mean I do hear what you're saying. We don't want to go down the road where we're overpaying just because you like them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they've gotten burnt by these guys
Oscar
on their
says
contract
that's the
year.
going rate.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it's unfortunately, man, but again, we want. If he is getting something, he is a difference maker. There are times, San Francisco game, he has shown up. I don't know, man. I guess I'm not going to be able to say really anything that's going to be really honestly positive on that. But it's interesting to see if they can get him at a really good number. If you're sitting there more like 12, 13, okay, then that feels a little bit better. But obviously, you go with the bonuses. I can understand it being there. So, I mean, with base salary, it could be sitting there. But I don't know, man. It worries me a little bit with them wanting to keep him and him becoming a priority,
Yeah, well, just looking at the free agents, I don't know why Osa doesn't. I don't know why Osa doesn't pop up here. That's the thing.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
I'm not sure why he does not pop up. Oh, there it is. There it is. It does pop up. Osa Odigizua. Okay, he's 26 years old. He's young. He made 1.2 mil this year. His calculated market value, 3 years, 62.9 million average salary, just a tick under 21 million a year.
Boom. There it is.
He's number 12. He's number 12th rated. So that's what you're looking at. So again, if you're saying resign Micah, resign Tyler Smith, you'll create money. You know, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to do that. I mean, just by looking at it real quick, D Law, he's 30. He'll be 33.
Yeah, Oscar. But there's also
Okay,
a point too that like you know, some of those guys don't get great stats because they're not meant to be that. They're meant to be the guy that's like clogging up holes and making them bounce out to try to, you know, and then they get tackled by other guys. So I can't really go much on the stats especially when it comes to defensive tackle. I said, yeah, I mean, we
like
agree.
him, Oscar.
Defensive tackle is definitely he's a rushing defensive tackle. Like he'll pass rush. I don't know, man. I just don't want to. I mean, if you can bounce the numbers correctly and get it all down, I kind of fear who we're gonna end up missing out on. Let's see what is wrong.
Yeah.
There we go.
D Law.
Thank you for your
Just looking at his market value, it's about 12 mil.
Thank you, guys. I really honestly appreciate you guys' support, man. I haven't been on here for a minute, so making content again felt really, really good today. Just throwing some stuff up together, getting just everything, Photoshop, doing it all, man. So I appreciate when you guys give me the support. I appreciate that. So what were you saying? You were going on about
D-Law, they're talking. Well,
what was D-Law? I'm curious. 7, 8.
Well, his
8?
market value this year is about 12 mil.
12.
So you're looking at a 2-year, 24 mil. That would be market. He may take less to stay with Dallas. So, I mean, he may take 2 years, 22 mil,
20,
something like that, at 21 million. I would be in on that. Yeah, I would definitely be in on that. That's fine. But to pay, you know, like you said, 20 million for Osa, I don't know that I would do that. You know, no. So just looking at different guys. We could do that another time. But yeah, just that's where we're at. You know, I'm very happy with what they've done so
Oscar,
far
you
under
are
the
correct.
circumstances. You know, they rattled off the Deion Sanders and threw the whole Dallas Cowboys community into a tizzy. You know, and then it was like, what's going to happen? And then now it's being leaked that whatever McCarthy and Jerry Jones got into about, it never even got to the amount of years.
Nope.
I had heard,
Nope.
they wanted
They
3,
never even talked
McCarthy
about the
wanted
contract.
5.
Yeah.
They
Well,
never even got.
Well, that's the thing
They
about
never
it.
even
Is it
got to that point.
Is it just awkward conversation? You guys are sitting there. Well, how's the sister?
Oh,
How's
he's
the
probably like,
mom?
"Jerry,
How's
you
the
need to
this?
stop."
You gonna be moving?
Yeah.
You know what is that? Well,
Who
you
knows?
know.
I would like to know, because if it's like, hey, Jerry, we need talent, then that would piss me off.
Well, you
right?
never know.
As
It's
a
like
fan that
they
he
may
said-
be asking him just to have those conversations. You know, what are we going to do differently? And he kind of, again, has that same, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's the same thing. And, you know, they know they need some change.
yeah.
And it's not going to be them.
Yeah, Vinny, I heard the same thing, but it was discredited by they basically, some insiders basically told not Broadus. Who was it that they told? They told somebody else that that I trust that years were never discussed. So maybe they said, yeah, maybe
Maybe it was just the
McCarthy
control.
said,
Hey, will
"Listen,
you
I
give
wanna
up
do
control
what
of the
Dan Quinn
offense?
did."
Yeah, maybe you give up control of the offense. Or I don't really give control. It's my, you know, if it's going to be tied to me, it should be. Well, guess what? These past couple of seasons have been tied to you, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
maybe they said, I want to do what the Eagles are doing. You know, again, look how they structured Saquon's deal. You're paying the same money for Eric Hendricks. We need to be more creative. And he goes, I don't have time to jack with you today. You know, something like that. And then, who knows? I don't know what direction those conversations went, but he's gone. And enter. Yeah, it just seems like Phil Dallas doesn't do anything in a timely fashion. So the fan base, I think they're finally starting to realize. It's amazing to me that it took this long, but I think that the Cowboys are realizing that the fans have had enough of of the way.
It makes you wonder if there's at least somebody in their ear about, because social media content creators, all these type of things, there got to be somebody overseeing something. You can't be totally oblivious to what the media is talking about. Oh yeah, those guys. I don't know what he put the air quotes. What is it for drought? Whether it's for the word people, as people in the media, or drought meaning water. Then in this form it meant this. But either way, I mean, just there had to be something there. There had to be something talked about that there was like, look, man, this is how they feel, man. You're not spending anything on free agency. I don't know, and it's just. Who is that person? If they are talking to them, are they asking for it? It's just, to me, there has to be some kind of realization, and where did that realization come from? It's like, was it content creating watching? Yep. Was it media watching? What was it? Because I'm saying, if you're doing this for so many years and you've been oblivious and kind of just in denial about it, and then that one day you just woke up, was it like the 12 days of Christmas, or the nightmare before Christmas, where you saw your ghost of Christmas future and you're going to be shit, So I don't know, man. I'm a little curious. So there's a whole movie that could be done right there. You better change your ways, Steven, or you're gonna be like this, and So I don't know, man. He just wakes up on one side of the bed, and then all of a sudden now he's talking about spending money in free agency, about doing this, doing that. We all know that it doesn't matter who you put in that head coaching position or all the coordinating position if you didn't have the roster to fill it out. We all know that they're going to have to be a big haul on the roster change this year, whether you're bringing people back. You can't bring everybody back, right? So I'm interested to see. I mean, we all know what the big gaping needs of this team are. Do they know? I mean, they seem to be in denial some of the times, but it's going to show by the type of talent they go out. Are they going to let Shoddy get in there and actually be able to pick his roster? Shoddy. So it's going to be interesting. I want to give him the accolade of coach, but it's just too tempting with Shoddy.
It is. Let's get into the chat real quick. Randy McIntyre. The Joneses took so long because they're arrogant and cheap. Yeah, agreed. Vinny, people going to overpay for Bond same way Eagles did for Huff. Bond needs to stay in Philly. He made
Sometimes those rookie, those contract years, they play differently. I mean, within the system, if it could be the people around them as well too. People pulling attention that you're being able to kind of jump up there and take advantage of that. But that's what football's all about, man, right? Taking advantage of the opportunities that are given to you, and that's where you get your payday when it happens, So good for them, and it doesn't always swing those players' way because they can't a lot of times walk away from those type of contracts, and the owners can. So it's definitely swung in the owners' way. So. Have you been watching any of the Pro Bowl stuff?
Not much.
Not much at all.
Little
flashes here.
Yeah, I have not.
Yeah, little flashes.
Yeah, I have not.
One thing I wanted to talk about was the other coach. Also, we have two more coaches that we came through the mix. Of course, the tight end coaching coming back, and I think that was a great return at it. There was no force. I've noticed that as they're settling the coaching staff. There's no, hey, now you have to use this guy in your offense or defense that they've had for the past decade or so, where you have to use this particular offensive coordinator. You have to use this guy. So they're actually letting him pick. So again, that's where we see a difference there. But the tight end coach coming back, I love the way that some of these guys stepped up. That they are mid-round talent, but they've been able to really kind of be a part of that. What do you think about the tight end coming back? Was there some other candidate you may have liked? What do you think about that one?
Well, he's supposedly going to Lunda Wells? Mm-hmm. Supposedly, he might be coaching the offensive line. So he's one of the
blocking was great.
The only coach is. What's that?
Blocking. I mean, his blocking, right?
Yeah. Well, supposedly he has experience with the offensive line. It's possible that he could What's up, Philly D? How are you, brother?
What's going on? Thank you.
So, I'm still waiting on that Jason Witten thing. I just am.
I don't think he's coming.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming. But yeah, what I do get excited about is our special teams. Yes, I was a Fossil fan. Yes, he took a lot of gambles and risk and everything, but he at least gave some life to our special teams. Congratulations where he goes. Of course, what Tennessee was it? And talking about getting our kicker and stuff like that. All right, back off, Bones. But going into that whole thing, I think this Morton, I think our special teams now guy gets a bad rep because obviously becoming the defensive coordinator, where they kind of shoved him into. People, who cares? He was a defensive coordinator. Well, I mean, most of the time we all know that he was that special teams coach. I don't know anything special about him in the sense that he's going to bring some dynamic to this thing. I know that players have liked him. But we'll see. I mean, we're not going to have possibly as many blocks and those type of things because, maybe he's more of a conservative type of special teams coach. I don't know. I have to go back and look at San Francisco and see kind of what they've done, what their stats were. So I apologize that I do not have that. But what do you think about that hire in the special teams? I mean, it's never really an exciting position to get excited
about him.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, man. I really don't.
But is every coach kind of on
he
even?
Looks a little like a weirdo.
Yeah, is every coach in the same position, even playing field in the sense that this is all new rules with all new kickoffs and stuff?
Yeah, he looks weird to me. I don't know, man. Sorry, the dude he's kind of an odd-looking character. But so is Bones Fossil, so maybe he'll work out. I'm gonna trust them about this. I don't know nothing about him. I know he had some shaky early on in his career. He was shaky. So, I am going to be okay with not doing fake punts time and again in our own territory. So if, Bones, he gave his punter way too much deference when it came to, fake and not identifying, the fake.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. It's, as long as we have the kicker.
Is Royal Rumble on Netflix or is it on Peacock?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't even turned it on. I figured I'd watch it tomorrow morning. I'll watch the replay and fast forward through it.
But I didn't know what it was on. Was it on Netflix?
Prioritizing retaining our own players and making strategic value-driven signings rather than pursuing high-profile free agents, managing the salary cap. Yeah, I think they managed it too much. Oh, it's on Peacock, he says.
Yes. Perfect.
Rolando, what's going on, man? I know. I hated that. I mean, I hated the fake punts as much as they did. It was a very desperate move, in my opinion. So, that's kind of how I feel about the situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, the season's not over for the NFL for the 2023, 2024, 2024, 2025 actually draft, and then goes on to the season that we thought was going to hopefully impact and injuries kind of really kicked our ass. I mean, at least these young guys definitely got a lot of playing time. And so hopefully with that offseason, that'll translate into something next year with a lot more success from those younger guys. We can't say that it will, but I'm interested to see the free agency, the re-signings, the draft. There's a lot of things that need to come to play for this team to actually start. Okay, we like the coaching staff, we like where it's going, but if you do not fill it in the rest of the way, then guess what? It's really a sinking ship by that point. You need to get the right personnel. They know that. We know that. The rest of the league definitely knows that. That's kind of been the strategy for them. But we like the change of culture a little bit. I mean, you have a little bit of the same in some ways, but I do like that it's younger. Like you were saying, there's a young energy about it. They want to get out there. They want to compete. They want to scheme. You can just hear it in their voice compared to McCarthy, where, yeah, you were right. I think Bryan kind of sums it up right there. He didn't want change. He just kind of if I have to change, there was I didn't know if you heard, but there was that thing between the players and McCarthy where Schottenheimer was kind of in the middle, right? So they would kind of go to him about something, and McCarthy would go to them about something. So he was in the middle. So, I mean, kind of like he was already kind of doing that head coaching thing in some ways. Rhonda, thank you. Always love and support. We getting ready. Yeah, we're reloading? I've seen on something that and it kind of frustrated me. They're talking about, are they closer to a rebuild or a reload type of situation? What do you think?
I think it's more of a rebuild than a reload.
I would say that there's a lot of I agree. There's a lot of big gaps in there. You might have
a reload
you might have key pieces. Go ahead.
I don't think it's a rebuild. Yeah, I don't think it's a rebuild where you have to build a foundation. I think foundation's there, but we're gutting it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're gutting.
Yes, you are correct, man. That's a very, very exact word to use.
It a little bit.
Yes.
Sorry, I think it's a rebuild, and that doesn't mean that you have to be a playoff team. Again, I will argue until my last breath that if we didn't have all the injuries, we would have had easily 10 wins. We would have had 10 wins.
Yeah, sorry. I think you're just right. You're right on that borderline. So that's what I'm saying. You can go reload. You can go rebuild.
And I'm glad.
You got pieces.
Don't be wrong. I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs because we weren't doing nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, Dallas had three straight seasons of 12 wins, and with a first place schedule, and you didn't have your quarterback and half the other team, and we really we had 7, but remember the pump block that was the game was over. I mean, we lost the game. It worked out for the draft pick, but you figure that's 8 without even playing like another play. The game is literally over. I could easily see 10 wins, but Dallas just made a hire as we're sitting here. So the Dallas Cowboys hired David Overstreet as their cornerbacks coach.
Yeah, I saw that from the Chicago Bears.
Rundown on him.
Yeah, from the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I don't know if you've. Yeah, the Cowboys have hired Overstreet to their cornerbacks coach. Todd Archer of ESPN reports. He was the Bears nickelbacks. He coached the nickelbacks in 2024. Overstreet was also with Eberflus in Indianapolis. And it goes on to tell you about Overstreet is the son of the late David Overstreet, who chose the CFL after the Dolphins made him the first-round pick in 1981. And joined Miami in the 1983 season. He died in a 1984 car accident.
Oh.
So his dad died when he was 13 months old. So, and he graduated from Dallas Samuel High School. So, local boy. Yeah. I like it.
Did you see who they were talking about with possible running backs coach?
Yeah, it's a short choice.
I
heard. Which, I'm okay with it. Again, I just want people to know we're not sitting there flexing because it's a nice, refreshing. I like. It was time for Al Harris to go, move on, move up. He was stagnant here. He needed to go do better things. He's in a perfect spot, and I think he went to Chicago.
Chicago,
right?
Yep.
I think that's where Al Harris went. Yeah. So, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. It's all going to be about hitting the draft. It's going to be about hitting free agency first. It's going to be about Dak Prescott getting himself healthy. Dak Prescott made his comment like he's like surprised to hear people are questioning him and his future. He said he's fine. He's going to be fine. But, I don't know how we could not be a little bit, have an eye open, holding our breath a little bit. But when he makes them throws off of that hamstring tore off the bone.
We need to.
We'll see.
We need to get that guy that we can get excited about behind him, just in case that happens. At least that.
Please talk about that.
At least that we're putting in. I've heard some people get behind the whole Trey Lance
I want a quarterback
re-sign.
in this draft, Phil.
I would love a quarterback in this draft, but the guys that we wanted, I would say
it don't have to be round 1 or 2.
No. I'm not thinking that either.
I mean, I'll take Riley Leonard. I really like him.
I would take him as well too.
I love Riley Leonard.
guys like
6'5",
Jackson Dart, where we were seeing him in the back of the draft. Yeah, now he's definitely not going to be that way anymore.
Jackson Dart's going to go too early, Bobby.
Yes,
he's going to go too early, brother. But I like Jackson Dart. But I mean, with Riley Leonard, maybe the Ohio State quarterback, I'm fine with later.
Howard.
You got Rourke out of Indiana. I'm good with him. Again, I'm not saying to come in and start, but you need a young, prototypical quarterback to bring in. You might.
Well, you're going to have like at least 2 years. You're going to have 2 years with this whole Dak thing, and then so that's what I'm saying.
You never know. Dak could.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying though. Even in general, the plan is that, and so you're hoping that in that time he's learning behind it. He's learning how to be a quarterback, how to read defenses, how all this stuff in film, going through a year, But again, if it happens to be that way, you're throwing him out there and go, okay, man, let's at least get you some experience. If the season's gonna go down, at least there's a future where Cooper Rush, nothing against it, but if we're in competition to go and be in the playoffs and Dak's gonna come back, okay, that's the type of quarterback I want. Somebody's gonna hold down the fort a little bit. But if you're in the whole rebuilding, you still got young guys and everything. I want that young guy. That third quarterback can be that young guy. So you could see you think Cooper Rush possibly comes back then?
I don't want them both back.
I definitely don't want them both back.
I don't really care. I say give me
Rush.
Me personally, I'm ready to move on from Cooper Rush.
I would.
Bye Cooper. If that means bringing back Trey Lance and then drafting a young one, I'm fine. Good. Let's go. Let's roll. I'd rather do that. If Trey Lance signs a deal the Cowboys don't want to pay, fine. Good. Go. Then we'll have to find something. Then maybe we have to bring back Cooper Rush. Nobody's going to want Cooper. And then I have to have a young quarterback. Have to. Let Greer. We got Will Greer. I don't know that he's the number 2, but
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind riding with the Greer train as we got somebody in there.
I would say both can go too, Bobby, but that's what us Cowboy fans are very, very.
If you're gonna give me
interested to see, because I don't think Bryan's gonna play the game. He's gonna let people go.
If you're gonna draft me 2 quarterbacks, late, one could be mid, one could be late. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's just I say that saying that you've gotten positions filled and
we didn't have 1,000 holes. I would say.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that all willy nilly in the sense that positions have gotten filled in free agency and things like that, and you're actually drafting best player available. You can always get those undrafted free agents as well. So, I mean, not everybody's going to, especially with the third one.
Yeah. Seeing the Commanders in a championship game doesn't... oh, thanks, brother. It's just fucking deleted on me. Basically, seeing the Commanders... seeing the Commanders in a championship game, that can't sit well with the Joneses.
I'm hoping not.
I got news for you. Seeing the Eagles win a Super Bowl and having to hear, because they hated when we said, oh, well, look what the Rams did. Look what the Eagles did. Oh, well, we don't run an organization that way. We don't feel that it's in the long-term best interest of our organization to stay relevant and go there again.
We want you to win one.
Well, they're already back there again.
Yeah, exactly.
They're already back there again. So zip it, old man Jerry. I would use my last draft pick in the 5th round and auction off to the highest bidder. Hey, if there's a guy on the board, you might be able to get something. I want this team to be more, Phil, I want them to be more, they need to use their brain, be a little bit more, think about possible trades, player for player. It's not the hardest thing to do, people. They just do not want anything to do with anybody else's players. But you're starting to hear whispers that Dallas may be interested in moving on from some of their players to
Well, that's the thing about it.
Bring in other players.
If people aren't succeeding here, they need to be replaced. And what's the point of having a scouting department that does college and the one that does pros if you're not utilizing the pros one correctly? You know, it's like you're only using half of it, half the team. You're only using the offense, not the defense. You only use the defense, not the offense. It's just you have to use all of it. You're only using the draft, not the free agency. It's again, you always got peanut butter, no jelly. You know, that kind of shit. You know, it's just.
If you have the jelly, you do grape. I'm a strawberry guy. I'm a strawberry.
Yeah, it can be grape sometimes.
I'm just saying.
It depends on the moment.
But,
But we're on that same thing, and I mean that's where I'm curious. I think that's where the philosophy comes. Where did that come from? Like again, month before he was talking about, oh, we're not going to be a person in free agency. Trying to prove a point somehow that that Dak's taking up all the money like we said he would. But we all know that there's triggers. We all understand how that works. It's on. There's a whole websites that have these numbers. And so for you to kind of just sit there and like, well, it's kind of interesting, like my count, you got to change it on Tuesdays and making it all sound confusing, but it's not. And I think they're proving that young guys are coming in here and doing what they can do, but better, and I think that's where the wake-up call has to be, man. You gotta take all your avenues and take advantage of that. Yes, you're great at the draft, but if you're not utilizing the agency at all, then guess what? You're just one step behind. So we again, I'm preaching to the choir, right? So
no, but you're right though.
So Bryan,
right.
Going into this re-signing, if you had to pick 5 guys, I'm going to give you 5 guys on this roster that you get re-signed. Bringing back to next year, who are those guys?
I would have to say.
Obviously, Osa,
if I had to
Jordan
pick
Lewis.
Right now, I would say Jordan Lewis. I would say DeMarcus Lawrence.
I like it.
I would say Osa Odigizua. I know, that's if you're asking me who I would want.
I like it.
Those
are three.
back.
Those 3 I'm naming as well.
I think D-Law is real important because of Sam
leadership.
So
leadership as well, and the uncertainty of the other ones.
I think you can get him back.
Yes.
I think he's at the stage of his career where he'll sign. They'll probably want to do a 1 year. I would be on board with doing a 2 year.
2 year. Yeah.
Just to give him a 2 year and $24 million, fully guaranteed. End it. Done. I think he would do that, but I don't know that for a fact. So give me those 3, and you said 5, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna let Rico walk, but I have a feeling we're gonna bring him back because he's not gonna command that much. So I say you bring back Rico and you draft one, but I don't know. What do you think, man? Who else are we talking about here? Brandon Cooks can go.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks can go for me. Sorry, Bobby. Thank you. Would you trade a number 1 for DJ Metcalf? No. Metcalf to me, like he disappears. If he was more consistent about his catching,
I would not.
I would not trade a first.
I
for
would
him.
trade a number 1
maybe
for Garrett in
New York, where his frustration and stuff. Yes, I would trade a number 1 for that. But not this year's number 1. Unless you're trading this year's number 1. If you're trading this year's number 1, then I can see where you do that because that's what you really want. If you don't want your running back and you can go with the one later on, that's okay. But you really want at that if you're drafting wide receiver. If you're drafting wide receiver, what is the potential for that wide receiver? You want him to do what Garrett would be able to do.
Already does, but you're paying a high premium for that. You're paying a salary. That's the issue.
Did he get re-signed? I thought he was still on his rookie deal.
They want multiple firsts? Yeah, I'm not giving them that. So
no, I wouldn't give
I'll
them that.
pass. So I only gave you, 4? So...
Well, I mean, I would probably bring back Kendricks just because I think he could adapt to Eberflus as well. So I like that possibility, So I did like the possible bringing Rico back because I would like him as my number 2.
Yeah, you got Chauncey Golston. I would like to keep the guys on defense. If I really thought about it, I'll take Osa. I'll take Chauncey Golston back. I'll take D-Law back. Let's see here. Looking at it. Zach Martin, I'd like to get back. Wow, we have more than I thought.
Oh, we have a lot.
Let's see here. I'll say Jordan Lewis.
I think
I'll say Eric Kendricks.
But yeah.
Osa Odigizua, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Zach Martin.
Okay.
Those 5 I'll take back.
That's a good one. I like that.
Now, if Zach Martin retires and I get another pick, then I will take probably one of the backup quarterbacks. I think you need one of them. So, Everybody else can go. I mean, Amani Obawarrior, Israel Mukwamu. Okay, you've had plenty of opportunities. C.J. Goodwin. I think we're finally done with C.J. Goodwin.
We can hope, right?
I think he's done. Also going to get too much money. I know, David. He just said, who would I like to keep?
Yeah.
Beetlejuice. Oh, you hate when that happens. The deuce is loose.
But no, here we go, man. We're off into the off season. I liked how it started so far. I mean, again, we're not going to get everybody's pick. Everybody would love to have Dion come in there because of the flash and the recruitment and people wanting to be a part of that culture. So I definitely could understand why people would want that choice. You know, and there were some other ones. At least I would have loved Ben Johnson to at least be interviewed. But really, he got one interview and boom, he was there. So,
right.
So, I mean, really everybody kind of fell on that kind of train. Aaron Glenn, kind of the same situation where he got a couple of interviews and then, bam, he already had his. So, nothing like that. Would you have at least wanted one of those guys to come in here for this interview, Brian?
Yes, I would have wanted Ben Johnson in here. It made no sense why he wasn't brought in, but, you know.
Yeah, I can understand the no money maybe
you
later
didn't have
on.
to
But
hire him. Maybe he didn't want to come. Maybe he had his mind made up.
True.
But I would have liked to have at least had. But, you know, that's what we do. You know, they didn't really. They thought they were getting Mike McCarthy back. So once that didn't happen, they floated out Dion or somebody leaked that Jerry picked up the phone. Then it was kind of, let's meet the Rooney Rule, which I think is, you know, God forbid we don't hire one of these minority candidate. I think they're well deserved of it.
Yeah,
but,
they are.
You know. Whatever. It's this team dumbfounds me sometimes. So that being, I mean, why didn't? I mean, I know that was. I'm not saying I would have hired him, but why not give Mike Zimmer an interview?
Yeah, Mike apparently was not happy being overlooked for the head coaching job, and kind of was done with the situation. So that's kind of what I had heard. And I see he's been overlooked a couple of times for this head coaching position.
He bailed him out, though.
Yeah, he did. He
came in here on a one-year deal when he didn't have to. And I thought that they treated him like crap. Now, I don't want him, but I'm just saying he deserved an interview. You know, but he lost me, Zimmer, when he started crying and said he wished he, you know, and I feel bad for him. You know, he's first time he's coached without his son. I totally get it. Yeah. But he also said he wished he would have done things at the beginning of the season and put his foot down and did more of what he wanted to do. So what are you saying? You let the Joneses dictate what you do or how you coached? No, thank you. Eberflus needs to come in here and do what he does. I'm looking forward to it, but we got a lot, you know,
personnel
from now,
to go. Yeah.
If they do what they've been doing, March 10th, you know, comes around and they sit on our hands and they don't do anything. Even like on day 2 of that, then I'll be highly disappointed. Then it's all BS. You know? You good?
Anyway, so game time, man. I think we kind of covered it. The coaching staff is kind of coming together. We're, you know, whether some people are thrilled with the picks, I know I'm happy with a lot of the decisions, the supporting staff that's being put into place. Again, the special teams a little bit questionable in my view because I just don't know the history there. Again, we've heard good things in the sense of that people like him, and again, this is something that Brian Schottenheimer is trying to build, right? That everybody gets along. I don't know. I don't know. You're gonna sing "Kumbaya" at in the huddle before every snap.
Kumbaya, my boy.
And but game time, man. Here we are, man. Going into the off season. I appreciate you coming through. Anything you want to say to the folks before we get out of here?
Not really. I don't have much scheduled tomorrow. It's going to be a quiet Sunday, everybody. It's going to be a quiet Sunday. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I won't. I'll probably do something. But I mean,
the Pro Bowl tomorrow,
there's no
right?
games to stream.
I thought there was a Pro Bowl tomorrow.
Yeah, but I ain't streaming none of that. So it'll be like, you know, I mean, I think I might take advantage of the day. You know, I mean, I'll probably do. Who knows? I may go on later, but I'm not going to plan nothing substantial. But yeah, just the calm before the Super Bowl storm, Phil, and then into the off season. Really, into the off season. Waiting. My main dates to look forward to is March 10th, the illegal tampering, then the draft, which is the end of April. We'll have to figure out how me and you are going to do that. Maybe you do some, I do some, you do some, I do some. You know what I mean? Go back and forth. And then after April, then we're talking about schedule release. We're talking schedule release, in May? I believe that's when it comes out. Put in the comments if you guys know when the schedule is released. Thinking about possibly going to Las Vegas. That would be fun. But that's about it, man. We're winding down here. So just looking forward to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I am too. I know the Eagle fans as well. Congratulations for getting there. I know I was a little absent during the playoffs, but that was kind of my time to just bunker down, do my work for for my career and stuff like that. So unfortunately it was a blessing in disguise on my side, but again, bittersweet in the end. I'm hoping that these changes do mean something, but if the Joneses do not back them up in the free agents market, and of course, I think another thing that needs to be said before we totally get out of here, because of course he's down here in the spots right here, is the actual re-signing of Will McClay. As we talk about draft and we talk about his era, there was a big, huge section that before the Will McClay era that we struggled. We struggled with the draft, man. Let's be real. And he's kind of helped us in that department. And yeah, there people want to point out the past couple years, but I think that was more politics with the people that were here.
Will.
Yeah, and I think he needs his own segment in that sense.
Will McClay, I believe it was a 5-year deal.
Yes, I'm
That's
glad.
What I was told.
My whole thing, to me, it's one of those things. Is it going to matter if you call him the general manager? I mean, I don't see things changing, but I mean, you could at least give him the title for it. That doesn't mean all of a sudden that people are going to make conversations and talk.
This is what I'm encouraged about Will McClay. Will McClay, for the first time ever, was allowed to sit in on
interviews for the coaching candidates, right?
Yeah, the coaching interviews. So, just remember that. That's telling me that they have some sort of plan with him going forward. My gut is telling me that when listen, any big business, when the CEO gets a certain age, you need to have a backup plan ready to roll. This is a multi-billion-dollar organization. Okay, so I think Will McClay may be a general manager. I think he may step into the general manager role, and Steven will just be the vice president and.
Yes. Well, I mean, at some point, that will be his role to be up there and be the more face. That's where I think this could really work.
I believe that's where this is going, and I'm glad Will came out and was vocal about saying that he wanted to win a Super Bowl or get back. He said, "Get back to the Super Bowl with this group of guys." And what that means is all these scouts, all the scouts in that room that are on the road. 300 days a year, scouting football. He wants to win. And the fact that they're letting him in the interviews and giving him more, that tells me that's probably what's going to happen when Jerry does either, God forbid something bad, he passes on or he decides to step down or he's incapacitated.
Yeah.
I don't see Steven as a general manager. I see him as like the owner. I don't see him doing multiple.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think he'll be out there. Yes, I think he'll be there talking and doing the side things that he does now.
A little bit.
You don't see him every single time out there, but you'll still see him there.
Right.
But I think he'll be happy with just being that guy face kind of thing, not having to be back to the financials, firing the guy. Oh, he's not getting it done. Let's fire this dude. He doesn't mind pointing the finger at other people and shit. If you can get out of that way and nobody's talking about you and you just got to fire people and then get other people in that spot to make people happy. Shit, I think that's what the Cowboys way is all about, right? So
yeah.
So I mean, really, but think about that. If that's their whole thing, I mean, that would make sense that they should that they would get
Jerry
somebody
has
that
an
they can
AI
blame.
copy of himself.
You know, that they could blame. Oh, that was that general manager. He's picking that thing. Oh, he went and did that Roy Williams trade and gave up all that first-round draft picks. And, you know, it's like all these dumb mistakes that they were making. But, you know, you can't hold anybody accountable. So at least you can have the input as the owner and kind of still have that same dynamics. But anyways, game time. We're happy with the sign. I'm happy that you were able to come back. And of course, Saturdays, right? I just need to tell you the time, and you'll show up, and I appreciate that.
Normally.
You know
how it is, so.
Well, game time. I appreciate you guys coming through, and I appreciate everybody, just coming through, and especially with the dropping of the super chats and stuff like there. I really appreciate that. 2 times 25, starting well. Hopefully, good job with the Eagle fans. I know. Will we be here next Saturday? You want to do a show next Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll kind of plan for that right now.
About it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it as well too. So.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I only say that, but yeah, I would say 90%. I'm good. Yeah, but
all right.
Let me iron it. I gotta check something out. But
check some irons in the fires and stuff to see what's going on.
Well,
I gotta see a man about a horse.
Me about, I think it's my brother-in-law's birthday. It's his 60th birthday, but she did say, "I know you do live streaming." I'm like, so if they go, I may not have to go, which is fine because it's not just us. It's a big house full of people. So play that one by ear, but I'll let you know as soon as possible.
Well, I appreciate that. One thing I appreciate you guys letting me know as soon as possible is ringing that what?
Ring the bell.
Oh, yeah, you forgot how to do that, man, didn't you? That's how long it's been. See you guys.
No.
All right, good job, guys. Let's just not come in tomorrow. Let's just take a day.
Talking prime rib in bed.
I'm using a blanket as a napkin. That's fancy. That's fancy. Real fancy.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I think we handled that with dignity.
Free candy! Johnny loves Chachi!